Hello, welcome to another episode of the Horror Vision Horror Podcast. My name is Sergey,
I'm Anthony the asshole.
And I'm still just Missy.
and today we're going to talk spoiler free about a new movie in the theaters right now, written and directed by Drew Hancock. This is a first feature, and it's a pretty good first feature, I got to tell you. This is Companion. Stars Sophie Thatcher of Yellow Jackets fame, and she's been in like Heretic, fucking Mandalorian, or no, not Mandalorian, Book
Yeah,
of,
Mandalorian.
no, she's in Book of Boba Fett, right?
Oh,
Not
Book of
Mandalorian.
Boba Fett. You're
I
right.
mean,
You're
same
right.
fucking thing, right?
Yeah, it's his show.
Boogeyman.
Maxine.
Was she in Maxine?
She was the makeup artist for Maxine.
Oh my God, you're right. Wow, dude. Holy cow. Also stars Lucas Gage, Megan Suri, Harvey Guillen, Rupert
Jack
Friend,
Quaid.
Jack Quaid. How did I miss that? That's the first person. And somebody I really like had a small part, Mark Menchaca. I really like him, and he was in there. Uh, Missy, what'd you think of Companion?
I loved it. I saw it on Thursday when it opened, and I really didn't know anything about it. I'd seen a teaser trailer and a movie poster, and that's it. So I went in pretty blind, and I had a really good time with it. I thought it's interesting how, like, I'm going to say it up front because I feel like it was pretty out there. We know from the beginning that she's a robot because of they show it in the trailers, and I hadn't even seen a trailer that showed it, but the poster showed her with white eyes and the title companion. I feel like I knew that going into it. Um, I like how this story is told from the perspective of the robot, making you feel you connect with her. You connect with the robot. It has an interesting view on relationships and standing up for yourself that I like, but yet it's a very engaging, funny, uh, quirky story that does not go where you think is going to. It I feel like it was a like it's very in touch with our times, and it was an entertaining ride. I mean, it was kind of exactly what I was looking for that day. I found it completely delightful. The performances were outstanding, especially Sophie Thatcher and Jack Quaid, but they're good in pretty much everything I've seen them in so far. What did you think?
Well, Anthony, what'd you think?
This week on Vicky the Robot, she tries cocaine. Whatever the fuck that show was.
Small Wonder.
Small
Small
wonder.
Wonder. Yeah.
Ask Ray about the sequel. Ask him to pitch you the sequel that he has in his head.
Oh God. No.
No.
um. Yeah. When you throw on in your trailer or your movie posters from the producers of Barbarian grabs you by the balls immediately, and you know what you're getting into. So when you attach that, you have a level of expectation that you're wanting to see from this film. And I think the trailers allude to that stuff, and it's totally not what you get. You get something completely different. I didn't hate this movie. Sophie Thatcher carried the film for the most part. It was pretty bland. Um, don't get me wrong, I like Sophie Thatcher, but I think her plot or her not her plot, but her character could have been interchangeable with any actress just because there wasn't anything that was like super over the top that she did that harnessed a lot of acting prowess. I think you could have picked any flavor of the day actress right now and it would have worked. So that's unfortunate, but I think that also has to do with writing. It's not anything you haven't seen before. In fact, it makes you harken to better films, i.e., one Sean and I spoke about earlier. It was Ex Machina,
Yeah.
and also Her. For those who haven't seen Her, I really like that one a lot. And that's just a straight love story, and it's solid. great sci-fi love story. But I don't know. I think I was expecting a little more, and I got, tidbits of it here and there. I mean, I picked up on all the themes. There's, it's abundant with vegetables. You get all that stuff, and I didn't hate the movie. I was at least entertained by it. I'll say that much. I did enjoy myself. I'm curious to hear what happened in Sean's screening. I'm sure there was like a Molotov cocktail fight or something like that. But no, very calm Sunday morning. Me and three other people in the audience, and yeah, just a smooth ride. And unfortunately, when you have stuff like that, it kind of falls by the wayside. So I think later in the year, sadly, this film will probably not be spoken about very much. I know there's going to be a ton of people that jump all over it, but in my honest opinion, um, I don't find it to be as captivating as the other films that we spoke about. And yeah, I think this one might get forgotten, unfortunately, and just lost in the sauce. But we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. Sean, I want to hear about your knife fight that you had in the theater.
No, nothing so dramatic, but just building up to this, I with this movie, there's been like a series of disappointments, which I'll just say most likely are my fault. I feel like when I originally heard about it, it was like from the creators of Barbarian,
Hmm.
and so I thought it was, and this is going back a couple months. I thought it was Zach Krieger's next movie. And then at some
Same.
point, I realized within like the last month, oh no, it's not. He produced it. So I was like, oh, because I felt like they said that it was, but I guess maybe I just misread it or whatever. Okay, I'll put the blame on me. That's on me. And then the teaser trailer was fine. I saw it a bunch, but it didn't give anything away at all. And some of the imagery really made me wonder, like, wow, like, okay, I don't know what this is. And then before Presents 2 weeks ago, I saw like a new trailer, and it just right off the bat, she's a bot. I didn't pick that up from the teaser, and I guess it is fairly obvious from the thumbnail or the poster, but I had seen it in passing and not really paid any attention to it. So when we saw that trailer, the full trailer before Presents, I was like, why are you telling me this? So we saw it today, and then we go in, and there was a lot of people in there. So it's like, oh, that's cool. It was a 12:50 show, and the fucking movie starts, and every light in the goddamn theater is still on. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? So I begrudgingly get up and walk, and it's of course all the way at the end of the fucking corridor, and I have to walk all the way back and talk to the guy taking the tickets. I'm like, hey, and I walk all the way back, and the movie's in progress. By the time I get back there, I'm like, okay, so I've already missed like 15 minutes of the fucking movie. And I was just pissed. I'm like, what the fuck? So that was not a good, so that's not the movie's fault. I did like it. I was underwhelmed by it. And I don't know if that was just all of this shit I'm talking about ad nauseum. Sorry, it's a long-winded way to sum this up. But I did that because I want to say, like, I think it's a very well-written movie. I think it's put together well. I think it's adequately shot. I think the performances are good. It's funny. It's disturbing. It's got a lot to say. The vegetables are there, but you don't taste them in the in the juicer. You taste the good stuff, but not the vegetables. But they're there. You're aware they're there, and it's poignant. But I don't know. I think Anthony's right. I don't think this movie will be. Maybe I hope I'm wrong.
I think it'll stick around for me, but I think part of it too is you both had preconceived ideas because of that barbarian thing. And I mean, I like Barbarian, but the only thing I took from that, because when I saw Barbarian, I knew nothing about it, and everything I thought it might be, it wasn't. So I kind of went into this just expecting it to not be what I expected and nothing more. And
I could see that.
I had I had no problem taking the ride. I actually probably like this better than Barbarian. I like Barbarian, but I have a lot of issues with it. Um, I didn't really have any issues with this. I just enjoyed it.
I think Barbarian is like a really ugly slice of Americana that I quite enjoy. But back to this one, 10:15 slot, IMAX, because that was the earliest. I wanted to get in as early as I could. So forced to get an IMAX ticket. You do not need to see this film in IMAX. There's no reason for it. There's no rhyme or reason for it. I don't even know if the film was shot. Well, clearly it was. Maybe it was shot in IMAX. I don't know. Um, there's no need for it whatsoever. Um, there's no like luscious, landscapes that you're really admiring, with the exception of maybe a couple of shots, but it's not something you need to pay extra for. So please, listeners, like, don't get roped into that. You don't need to watch it in, the super duper screen. Watch it on a normal screen. It's fine.
Yeah,
I think that was another major complaint that I have, and it's all over the posters too, in IMAX. But for fucking what? Like,
yeah.
what's the point?
Right.
Other than a cash grab, there's no reason. So that kind of sullied the experience too, because I was, hoping for a bit of zazz, and I didn't get any. Um,
Okay.
that bothered me quite a bit, actually. So yeah, again, for the listeners, like, don't pay extra for the ticket. Just watch it on a normal screen. It's fine. Um, Beyond that, yeah, I mean, it was a pleasant film. It's not a horror film for those that are,
No.
it's I may not even call it adjacent. But it's out there. I mean, it doesn't suck. If you want to be entertained, it's there. That's really all I got to say about it.
Well, and I would like to point out, like, I agree with you, but also let's like couch that a little bit because it is entertaining, and that in and of itself is an accomplishment, right? So I
Sure.
think the thing here is definitely like what Missy said. I think Anthony, you and I both went in expecting Zaz, not necessarily IMAX Zaz, but I expected. And so the thing with Barbarian, I had literally no fucking clue what it was about. And the title, I was like, I don't understand Barbarian. Like, oh my, like this is just, and it was a very good marketing campaign that gave nothing away. And I didn't see where it was going.
It was my number one for that year. I totally
Same here,
agree
dude.
with all your points.
I mean, that could end up being my number one of the decade.
Yeah.
I love it that much. Fucking release it on Blu-ray already, you motherfuckers. Sorry. Um, but the thing with this one is I also didn't know where it was going. And it ultimately does become something that I didn't see coming. So that was cool. But the bot thing, I just felt like, oh, I just felt like it was an easy, I don't know. It's funny because it made me think like, okay, so it's not that original. Where Barbarian is like the most, I mean, it's so fucking original. I couldn't believe it, right? I'm like, watching that movie, there was, when it cuts to Justin Long, I was like, is this an anthology? Like, what the fuck is going on? With the bot thing, it immediately made me think of, well, not immediately, but here's one thing that made me, there's two or three things that really made me sink better into this movie as it went along. And I can't talk about most of them, but one I will talk about is there's something in this movie early on that stuck, but I didn't decode it. And then later there's a revelation. I was like, oh my God, this is could basically be a sequel to Ex Machina. Like the same way Rise of Leslie Vernon is, if you talk to the director, it's ostensibly kind of, it's not exactly a sequel to Black Christmas, but his intention is that I forget the character's name, but that Leslie Vernon goes to see is Billy. Like he's like, no, that's Billy from Black Christmas. I didn't use the name, but he would have changed his name, like, and that made me like Leslie Vernon better. And this also realizing like they don't outright say or in any way reference well, they do reference it, I feel like, but um it is conceptually a sequel to Ex Machina for sure. And it also, I feel like, gives a little bit of a nudge to a Black Mirror episode I really like that coincidentally also stars Domhnall Gleeson from Ex Machina, which is the I'll Be Right Back. And it's just with it's a music cue at the end of the movie. It's not the exact same song, but I was like, I feel like they're definitely drawing on that Black Mirror episode right here. It also has to do with a replicant.
I was thinking about the pig fucker episode, but I get it.
Well, there's no pig fucking in it. And you know, goddamn it, that's another thing about this movie. There's no pig fucking.
Right?
0 out of 10 pig fucks. No, I'm kidding. Um, I mean, I'm not kidding. There is no pig fucking, but
Yeah,
it wasn't really expected. Anyway,
much to my chagrin.
but
Oh, I think you guys were both expecting a much darker movie because of how dark and fucked up Barbarian is. And this just wasn't, it didn't have that tone at all. This is much more what I kind of think of as like good for her horror.
oh, I love
Um,
that. I love
yeah, it's
that.
it kind of that's kind of where it fits for me, and especially if you like things um like Coralie Fargo's Revenge, or even movies like Jennifer's Body, or um and stuff kind of more in that vein. I think you'll dig this and have a good time with it. But I can absolutely see how, if especially two people who loved Barbarian and they marketed it as from the makers of Barbarian, you were expecting something totally different than what you
Yeah.
got.
I wasn't expecting Barbarian.
No, no, I wasn't expecting Barbarian either, and I wasn't like expecting a complete. It's not a complete letdown either, but it's
No.
very bland. Like I said, I'm not going to say the film is exquisitely acted because it's not. Everybody just kind of played it straight, and it wasn't. You know, I don't know. There was nothing over the top about it, and that's what makes it ultimately seem like it's going to be forgettable over time. So I don't know. Maybe I'm jumping the gun on that, but whatever.
And I don't know, it seemed like it clicked well with me and I really liked it.
I'm glad. I'm
But
really glad. That's what I
Me too.
wanted. I wanted what you got, and I don't know if it was a confluence of all of those events leading up to me my seeing it
right.
that I talked about, which definitely took. I mean, you know, the fucking lights. And I would have gotten up and
Hmm.
walked out there sooner, but when we saw Presence, the same thing kind of happened where the lights were like up higher than normal for the trailers, and I was just about to get up and they went down. So it's like I'll give it. And yeah, because it's a, you walk out and then when you come back down and I sit down for 5 minutes or whatever, the movie's playing, but I'm not paying attention to the movie because I'm
Right.
waiting for the fucking. And also like the way the room lights are, there's one light directly like almost next to the fucking top left of the screen, so that's just
Okay.
obliterated with glare, so I couldn't see like sorry, I'll stop talking
Right.
about the
And I'm
fucking
sure
lights.
that affected it. I was lucky enough to have what was kind of a perfect viewing experience for me. I went at I went at a time when there were like three other people there, so I had a quiet theater mostly to myself. I went in blind, and then it just I was able to engage and take the ride with it.
Right. So the bot thing,
Hmm.
I thought about this, and I get that they give it in the trailer, and I guess the poster gives it too. So I'm thinking I'm very much alone in not having realized that, right? But I would have liked to have been able. Imagine seeing that movie, and it's not until the first time when he's standing in front of her and he says, "Go to sleep." Like, imagine not knowing until that moment. That would have been fucking crazy. Now, the script gives there's a lot of I'm just not built that way.
Hmm.
I'm in, like the other girl saying I feel like you make me feel replaceable. There was a bunch of stuff that was like obvious clues. So I don't
Hmm.
know if I would have picked it up or not. I tend to not pick up stuff, and I realize it's because, like you say, Missy, usually I'm able to go to a place in my head when I sit down where I just take the ride
Hmm.
with movies, especially in a theater. Like when people are like, I figured out Sixth Sense. Like, so how did you figure that out? It's like, there's been a bunch of movies where probably everybody else figured it out, but I didn't. And it's because I usually
Hmm.
fully take the ride. So I wish I just would have been able to experience it that way. It's like, it seems like they're a little bit like wishy-washy as far as whether they wanted you to know through the dialogue up until that point when he tells her to sleep, or they didn't. Like
I
I
I think they wanted you to. I mean, her name is Iris. It's Siri backwards.
I didn't even realize that. I did not even realize that.
Like I feel like all that stuff was right up front.
Hmm. Wow. Wow. Did you pick
There's
up
an
the series?
action that no, I didn't,
What?
but there's an action that happens right in the beginning of the movie, and I'll talk about it after we're done, after we go off the air. But yeah, it's yeah, you'll see.
Okay.
I think if you see it again, Sean, you might like it. Like if you can see it under better conditions,
That's
even
a
if it's at home, like when it comes to streaming, I think you might like it better.
I will definitely watch it again. Like Kirsten's like, why don't you go this week and see it again? But I'm like, you know, I think I need time. I think any subsequent viewing
Mm-hmm.
this soon, I'll just still have that in my, in stuck in my craw. So first impressions,
Did Kirsten enjoy it?
she did. She really liked it. She just said to me, like, I don't know, earlier tonight, so hours and hours and hours after the movie, she's like, I really liked that movie. So it definitely, I don't know.
All right, I think it's gonna have an audience.
Yeah.
Um I feel um like Ivy Tholen, the writer who comes on it on the show sometimes, she and I were talking about pink girly horror. And that doesn't necessarily mean like that it's tame, but we were talking about different movies that fit there, and I feel like this fits right there. But that if you like those kind of movies, um, even things like the loved ones and just that give you that kind of vibe, I think it's gonna click.
Yeah. And it is a rewarding movie. Like the way everything works out is very fucking satisfying. It
Mm-hmm.
takes a while to get there, right? But it's a good ride. It is definitely a good ride. Even, all of my complaints aside, it is a good ride. And like I said, I wanted to kind of qualify what Anthony was saying. Like we were looking for some like, really, really high falutin experience, and like there's something to be said for just making a solid fucking movie, and it is a solid fucking movie. I guess I just like both of you said, seeing that from the creators of Barbarian, I mean it just puts a fuck. It's like, well, like when I see Fede Alvarez's name on something, I'm like, there's a bar, man. There's a bar that's set.
Yeah,
It's got you
Mm-hmm.
got to beat the bar.
there's a level of expectation that needs to be met, in my
Yeah.
opinion. So
No,
Right.
I mean it's both the beauty and the bane of being a creator that is functioning at that high of a level. You know what I mean? It's like I don't know. So, but definitely thinking about it as a spiritual successor or sequel to Ex Machina definitely made me feel like a lot better about it. It made me kind of sink into it a little bit deeper, and there were some other things. So I would definitely say, regardless, go see it. It's in the fucking theater, especially if you have a pass, a movie pass, AMC pass, Regal pass, whatever, fucking Tim's Theater pass, whatever. Uh, but it is great on the big screen. It does not need to be. See, you don't need the upcharge. No way. Can't even imagine what this would look like in IMAX. I mean, everything looks
Yeah,
better in
that's not
IMAX, but
necessary.
yeah, it's just not. I mean, this isn't Tenant. I don't understand. Ah, it's Companion. Go see it. This is a Horror Vision. I'm Sean.
now I'm Anthony, the absolute moron.
And I'm still just Missy.
hapless teenagers beset by demons in the woods. A strange new drug that turns art into murder. A can't beat a deal on a new house with a horrifying past. A video game that might usher in the apocalypse. From the demented mind of Sean C. Baker, author of A Collection of Desires, Shadow Play, and Murder Virus, comes Volume 4, collecting Baker's no sleep work along with several never-before-published short stories. This 99-cent volume also includes the opening chapter of the author's forthcoming teenage giallo novel, Black Gloves and Broken Hearts, due out later this year.